All right, I think we're live. All right, welcome everybody to the very first edition of the AD Unlimited podcast. I am TC, aka the Free Range Chicken, and joining me here today and always will be Big Aller 16 and Who Day All Day 88. Three of the top dogs here at the AD Unlimited crew. And who we are is a group of very enthusiastic NFL all-day collectors that happen to get together and create a community of our own for us to share ideas and speculate and just basically be the all-day degens that we are. We keep clawing ourselves deeper and deeper into this, and here we are on a podcast now. So thank you guys all for joining us. We're looking forward to, bringing you everything we know and can possibly bring about all day in the NFL in general. So we'll be here every week at 9 p.m. Eastern, talking the latest news, the things that are coming up, the things that have happened, and that's where we'll be. So like, subscribe, share with your friends, let them know we're here, and let's grow our all day community into something special.
Yes, sir.
There we go. All right.
That was a good intro. Look
all right. Yeah. Sometimes it just comes off the cuff, but I needed to think about it for about 5 minutes,
Professional. Let's go. And if you guys see me looking down at my phone, it's because I'm reading chat 1 and 2. I'm trying to make sure that everything is cool. Everything is straight. But thank you guys so much for being here. And I'm very excited just to start this podcast. It's been 2.5 weeks in the actual making right now, so I'm very excited about it, and I just love all day. Go Falcons.
And if I'm looking at my phone, it's because I'm trying to complete He Called Game.
And I'm just making sure my daughter didn't wake up.
There you go. All right, fellas.
I guess we can start with introduction. So, DC, how did you find all day?
I was in Top Shot. My brother had dragged me into Top Shot, and I'm not an NBA guy. I really give zero craps at all about the NBA, right? Like, I was a Jordan guy. I enjoyed the early days of Shaq and Kobe. I was definitely a big Shaq guy, so I wanted to get involved in the NFT thing because I missed an opportunity in the early days of Bitcoin to really jump on board. I had a friend of mine who was trying to get me into Bitcoin mining and that whole thing back in, I think, 2010 or 2011, back when it was still only $119 a coin. Yeah. And so, after seeing what crypto and Bitcoin in general did, I saw the NFT space as the next step of that, right? Like, I'm not missing this boat this time. So I jumped in with Top Shot, and I, enjoyed the pack rips, and I think my very first pack rip was the Seeing Stars, and I got a Zion. And at that point, that Zion was like a $450 moment. So at that point, it pretty much hooked me. So when All Day came up, it was just an opportunity for me to move into a space like that I actually care about. I'm a football fan as much as anything. Football, baseball, those are my sports. So I just kind of like to immerse myself in it, and this was just another way for me to geek out on it. So, here we are.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, I wasn't around for Top Shot. I really wasn't, and I didn't know about Top Shot till after All Day. So All Day came, and my buddy texted me. He was like, I'm in this like luxury closed beta group, and I was like, all right, cool, right? And he was like, it's called like All Day, and I was like, oh, okay, cool, I'll look into it, right? I looked into it, and I just created an account, right, which is where my name came from, right, because I was just like, whatever, right, and I was trying to think of a name. I didn't really want, like, anything special, so I was like, Big Baller, right, but obviously I can't spell, right, so it came to Big Baller 16, and I was just like, it is what it is, that's just my name, right, because Every single NFT project that I got into has tanked. So I was just like, maybe this one will too. So this doesn't matter. So I got into it, and then I truly started to look more into it, and um, I really loved it, right? And I was like, oh shoot, let me actually dive into it, right? So I looked at this as a chance to really learn more about the pro football scene, because I'm a college football scene. I'm like a college football guy, so I love college football. Go Gators! I don't know if you guys can see the Gator in the back right there, but I'm a huge college football guy, so I'm not really too big into the pro football. But this is the first season that really got me. I'm stoked. I'm so excited for this season, and I'm gonna be locked in every single Sunday, every single Thursday, Monday night football. I'm locked in, right? I've been doing research. I know a little bit of lingo, so I'm gonna be learning a lot from TC and Houday all day. They're gonna fill me in on things where I should know. But yeah, I'm just hyped, man.
All right. Well, speaking of Houday, tell us your story, bub.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I just found it on Twitter one day. Somebody had posted like a screen grab of, I want to say it was like the Week 15 pack that they had just opened. So I, kind of messaged them and asked them what it was about. They told me about it. I was like, all right, well, let me see it. This was back when you had to wait a week and a half, 2 weeks on the wait list.
Right.
So, I put my name down. Think I got in for the next one. Put some money in. I was like, all right, well, I'll test it out. I put enough in for 2 packs. First pack was like a Mark Andrews rare, and I was like, all right, whatever. Sold it, got my money back. Next pack was the rare Trevor Lawrence. I was like, all right, I think I'll give this a shot.
Wait, you got a
try it out
Trevor
a little bit
Lawrence
in my second pack.
Wow.
And honestly, if it wasn't for that, I probably wouldn't be here.
Right.
If I would have gotten to, who is it, Admiral Thrawn, whatever. Got like 10 packs, no rares. If I was in, I definitely wouldn't have lasted that long. But yeah, 2 packs, 2 rares.
Well, I think the story that really needs to be told beyond that is about how you came to your handle on in Discord.
I actually don't know that story. I'm excited.
The original.
Yeah, I mean, as condensed as possible, because it's quite a saga.
Yeah, I mean, the original so is my, and then Dixie, Dixie, and then Wrecked. It was a intramural basketball name that I had back in high school.
Okay.
I went to an all-boy high school, so all-boy high school, your mind's in the gutter 99% of the time. So just about every intramural team's name was something along those lines.
Right.
So I've just used it for years, and every time somebody reads it, they're like, "What?" And I just have to tell them, just read into it just a little bit more.
Yeah.
Do it 5 seconds more reading, and then they're like, So just 35-year-old trapped in the mind of a 17-year-old.
Well, as a 43-year-old, it doesn't get any better as the older you get. It's still there. You're just more tired.
Now, so I pulled a Patrick Mahomes, right? It was a rare. It wasn't his most expensive one, but it was a nice one. And I was like, oh, this is dope. I pulled a rare. And then the marketplace wasn't even open yet, so I didn't know how much this thing was worth. Then the marketplace opened, and when the marketplace opened, everything was so overpriced. For 2 seconds. It was overpriced for 2 seconds, and then it obviously dropped. But I didn't sell because I was like, no, I'm gonna hold because I didn't know anything about the market or anything like that. But it had went for $500, and I should have sold right then and there, and then bought again. But it is what it is. That really sparked my love of all day, because it was so cool just to pull that moment. And I was like, oh, I got a Patrick Mahomes. And, but yeah, we're saying that, what would you guys like to see in NFL all day? So what would you like them to do to have that moment for like more people to be like, oh, cool, I just did this, so I'm gonna stay, right? So use your attention, basically.
Well, for me, I think that, the question that has to be easy for any of us to answer if we're going to attempt to bring people into the space is be able to answer the question, what does it do?
Yeah.
Because so you buy it, what do you do with it, right? Well, we can do challenges, we can do this, blah, blah, blah. So I think really the number one thing for me is that answer of what does it do has to be clear and obvious to anybody who's trying to explain it to somebody else. You know what I mean? What can we do with these, AKA video clips, which, they're not wrong for saying that. I mean, it's essentially what they are. They're curated video clips. And so they have to be able to do something beyond just being that. Like, collectibles are great. And there's a good market for collectibles. There are. But to really take advantage of the sheer massive size of the NFL market, we need to be able to tell people, okay, what do these do? And we're starting to see some of that stuff with things like the digital picture frames, which I had been harping about for months, going, back to the closed beta general before AD Unlimited was a thing. And all I ever want to say, you got a game room or something, like, let me loop some of my favorite moments up on my wall while we're sitting around watching the game, shooting pool, barbecue, and whatever. And then, I got TJ Watt's 4-sack game Lego looping over on the wall behind me. I mean, like, that it can do that. You can find that on YouTube. Go ahead. Let's see how long it takes you to find all 4 of those moments and be able to watch them like that. And it's harder than what people think. So answering that question is going to be the most important thing for me going forward.
Yeah. How about you, Hope?
Yeah, that's the same. Just some sort of outside utility. Let me take this moment or these moments, turn them into something else. Turn them into tickets. You just became an Atlanta set holder. Do something like anybody who's a set holder, your name's thrown into a drawing. Say there's 200 people that are an Atlanta set holder and they do 20 people. These 20 people are getting tickets. You're all going to go to the same game. You can all meet up. It's all going to be in the same section. They get a box or, something like that.
Yeah.
Just something for the people that are collecting, whether it be sets, team sets, just, random bits and bobs here and there, like whatever it may be. Just let us do something outside in the real world.
Exactly.
And honestly, I think the best thing would be, like I said, the tickets. That'd be the easiest, quickest way for people to be like, oh shit, like, they're giving out tickets for people. Like, okay, like, let me see what I can do.
It's awesome. And like, it's one of those things where a lot of people like to compare this with like actual cardboard, right? And be like, well, what's the difference between this and like this whole digital space and then like actual cardboard? It's like, if I show you a cardboard, right, a card, I can't just get in a game, right? I can't just be like, oh, okay, I hold this card, let me in this building, right? So I feel like with this whole like digital space, and we have a chance to make actual moments mean something in this world, right? So where if you have just a card, it doesn't really mean anything other than, oh, this card is very expensive, right? It's just this one thing. But I feel like in like a digital world, there's so many possibilities that you can do, right? So like, you hold this one moment, right? You can even put it on like digital card, right? So if you really want to like hold it, and this one thing can get you maybe some tickets, or it can get you some merch, or it can get you something that like a regular card won't be able to do. And I think that's where they really need to excel in that area, to be like, okay, this is not the like traditional way, so we're not going to do the traditional just a route where if you just hold this moment, it's just a moment, right? It's like, no, like this needs to mean something more than just, okay, cool, it's just a piece of cardboard that costs money.
Well, when you talk about too, cardboard is just a player. He was, maybe it's a running back and he's busting through the line or something, right? There's really nothing to say that that play was this moment and it meant this to this game. Classic cardboard doesn't necessarily have that. So from a they did right by calling them moments because that's exactly what they are. But I think at least early on, some of the selection of what is a moment has been a little cavalier. I don't know necessarily if they're going through, and it would take a huge undertaking to do what I'm about to say, but, I think if you're really trying to capture a moment from a player, then it's important that you capture something that's unforgettable. So, there's a lot of moments out there that are just kind of meh. Like it's a cool play, but it generally doesn't really mean anything in the grand scheme of things. So, for me, I think the focus when you're making a moment is to make sure it's actually a moment. And I feel like the all day team is really kind of coming around to that. Coming out into season one or series one, they really were trying to get everybody involved, and maybe it was something contractual with the NFL too that you gotta include so many players in season one, so they threw a bunch of stuff out there. But as things, you hear the burn thing they're gonna do and the burn options that they're giving us out of rewind packs, and they're starting to really make moves to underscore that point that what the definition of what is a moment absolutely needs to be a moment.
100%. And I feel like those moments that really aren't cool moments, really per se, can be compared to a piece of cardboard where it's a player that you don't really care about type.
Right.
It's like, okay, cool, I just got it, right? And I feel like they need to change that narrative to where I'm sure that there's a cooler moment out there than what you just put out, right? And I don't know if they have some kind of criteria or anything whether whatever tier it comes, common, rare, legendary moment, they probably have some type of criteria. But I feel like a lot of the common moments are low because it's not really a cool moment. There's not really anything. But there'll be a player where he only has a common moment, and he might get a rare and legendary down the line, but there was definitely a lot more cooler plays to be had than his common moment.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at Zach Wilson. I mean, he's the number 2 pick in his all-day debuts at Rush. That's
right.
Really, come on now. That's the best you can come up with for him. And I get it, it's a common, but that
you're talking
been something better.
You're talking about Herbert's, right?
No, that Herbert's common's a rush, but I think it's a touchdown. But Zach Wilson, I'm pretty sure his all-day debut is just I think it's a first down. But other than that, I mean, it's nothing special.
Right.
Zach Wilson, what a great guy.
I will say that
Zach Wilson.
On that first question, none of us said fantasy.
Yeah.
If you would have asked that question a month ago, everybody's answer would have been fantasy. But
I think
that we have Rumble, that doesn't seem to be everybody's first answer anymore.
And you're right.
Well, let's talk about Rumble.
We are gonna talk about Rumble, but I think the one thing I wanted to add to that point is that when we had our discussion with the group at All Day about what they were doing, and the way that they framed fantasy and their intent for it, I think, at least on my end, and I think for a lot of people within AD Unlimited, was that it kind of calmed those down as okay, I understand what you're saying, and we see the situation you're in, And thankfully, at the same time, that's when Rumble came along. Like right around that. I mean, those were either a day apart or on the same day, right? So, I think having the information that we had plus Rumble, it made more sense because both of those things lined up. Like what Rumble was doing made total sense with what All Day said in regards to their fantasy ambitions. So I think there was, at least for us, it kind of calmed the fantasy talk. Because if you would have asked me before all that happened, I would have 100% said fantasy. Like fantasy, 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 and that was going to be the easy answer that I wanted to the question of what does it do, right? Well, you can use it in fantasy, and you still can, with what Rumble's going to do. And I need to learn more about Rumble, but hopefully you guys are going to fill me in on that right now.
Yeah.
How about that? How about that segue?
Yeah. So Rumble basically is going to be the fantasy of like All Day. It's going to be like the Moment Ranks has. Do you know about Moment Ranks?
I've heard about it, but again, I'm not a basketball guy, so I had zero interest in that.
Moment Ranks is like a fantasy for Top Shot. So Rumble is probably going to be there. There's still not like 100. There's not like a breakdown of like exactly what it's going to be, what it all entails. But they came out saying that Rumble is basically going to be a fantasy game made for NFL All Day. So that is what like everybody was like hype about. And I mean, to be honest, it was one of those things where it came out right. I knew something was going on. I knew that they were going to come out with something, and then when it dropped, right, I was so excited about it. But then I had this like, oh, does this look bad for like the platform that I love, All Day, right? I was like, does it look bad for them just because like now the attention is way on something else, right? It's on Rumble, and then I forgot who said it. Somebody said that no, like it's a good thing blah 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 because the platform is like working together. It's not working against each other.
Right. It can be built upon. It's basically the Flow network is one, like an Ethereum or Solana, to where you could build projects on top of the existing blockchain. Which I think that's where you were going with that, right?
Yeah. So like that's why I was like, so I feel like All Day is more of a reason, right? He's more of like a reason of. It's more like a base, right? So it's base, and then you build upon that base, right? Of All Day, right? So I've been looking at All Day, wanting it to be this everything, right? I want it to be everything, but what I believe All Day is wanting to be is just a base. It wants to be like a super solid base for third parties to then build off of them, so that they can thrive as well. So like that's what I believe.
What
do you think about Rumble there, Hude?
I mean, I'm excited for it. I just want to hear more about it. Looking into like the Moment Ranks, that Ty was talking about, it seems a little. It's a little different than your normal fantasy because apparently people score points more based off of like a certain type of play.
Mm-hmm.
So like if your moment was a steal, and say for the last 5 games they were averaging 1 steal, but then for this one game they get like 3 steals or something like that, they get bonus points or more points or something like that.
Sure.
So I mean it's kind of like fantasy, but then kind of different the same way. I just hope they do it right. Either by serials meaning more, rare, legendary meaning more.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be number 1. Jamar Chase gets the same as number 9,000 500.
Yeah.
Sure.
They're kind of build in scoring based off of serials or even like the average serial of whatever team is you submitted. So say like your average team is 1,000, you should get more points than somebody whose average is 5,000, 6,000, something like that.
Right.
Makes sense.
Well, I
just do it based off of like what the player is, whether it be rare or whether it's just Jamar Chase.
Sure.
Common shouldn't be the same as his rare or his Lego.
Well, I think for me, one of the important things they're going to have to figure out is because, defensive players are going to have to be as important as offensive players. And in the classic version of any fantasy, you have a team defense. Or in the early days of ESPN fantasy, they allowed you to pick an entire team of defenders. Like you could pick 5 guys. But the way that the defense was scored, it didn't necessarily matter who you picked and what you grabbed. It was just kind of an afterthought because each defender was worth so little that it was still the quarterbacks and the running backs and the wide receivers that were scoring all the points. So, like, if, for instance, they have you put together a 7-man team, something like that, where you get 1 quarterback, 1 wide receiver, 1 running back, a tight end, a kicker, and 2 defenders, right? To make it worthwhile, the quarterback and the defender, their best games need to be equal. You know what I mean? If a quarterback goes out there and throws for 400 yards and 5 touchdowns, there needs to be an equivalent scoring system for defenses to allow, say, somebody like TJ Watt to score 40-some points with a 4-sack game. You know what I mean? Like there has to be a way to make those equivalent, so that, those defensive players now have that value that they don't currently in the marketplace. Everybody's after the quarterbacks and the wide receivers and the point scorers, right? Well, the defender guys are out there racking up points too. So you could take somebody rather obscure like Cole Holcomb, whose rare is worth $35 right now. The dude had 110 tackles last year. Or something like that. Like the dude put up stats, but nobody knows who he is, so nobody wants it. Well, if those 110 tackles are all of a sudden now worth, an average of 15 points a game, all of a sudden Cole Holcomb is a name.
Exactly.
So for me, that's what's important in regards to Rumble, is they got to get the scoring right first, and then how to set it up so that people who are playing that, you're not always piling into the quarterbacks and a wide receiver. You might see a linebacker or a defensive end with a rare worth $1,000, like somebody like Herbert.
Yeah, and then OTM also has like a secondary thing that they've done. I think they have their own NFTs as well, called the Owners Club. But this is not going to be a part of that. They said that this is going to be absolutely free to play. TOC is actually going to you got to pay to get like the cards and things like that. It's like their own like fantasy game that they have. But this Rumble thing is going to be free to play, so everybody can just go in and they get a chance to win some dapper. So.
And there was a question in the chat too that wondering if somebody like DraftKings will do daily fantasy with all-day moments as well. What are you guys thinking about the possibility of somebody like FanDuel or DraftKings getting into using moments to do their fantasy?
Do you think are you saying in like conjunction with like all day or?
Oh, here's the actual question. It was by Top Shot Thought Shot. You guys think Moment Ranks will also do their own version of DFS? So I had it wrong. I was kind of thinking of my own question in my head. Yeah.
If they already do it for the NBA, I'd be surprised if they don't do it for the NFL.
Yeah, I mean,
NFL fantasy is,
it's king.
Head and shoulders above anybody else. It's the easiest one to do. It's the easiest one to set up. I mean, so they have one for the NBA. I feel like it would be a no-brainer for them. Maybe with the Moment jumping in already with what they have, maybe that'll kind of kick them into gear, kind of like we thought DraftKings would with, all day.
Right.
We find out, all day is not really looking to do that right now anyway.
Exactly.
So, yeah, I'd be surprised if they didn't have something.
Who are your guys' like go-to picks? Like, oh, I'm playing him every single week, kind of thing. Like, I gotta go get his moments so I can play him.
Depends on the format. I need to know what I'm playing before I can even make that decision. Like, yeah, I have my favorite players, but it's like I'll draft completely different for a half-point PPR or a 1-point PPR fantasy league than I will for a standard format. So it's just however they decide to set up the scoring will determine how I approach it. And I may have some favorites. I mean, obviously, like I have an Eckler rare that. If it is some sort of a PPR type of a setup, the guy's going to be in the thing every week,
Yeah. How about you, Dave?
I mean, I'm the same, pretty much the same answer. But I mean, obviously, I'm a Bengal homer, so as long as the Bengals are playing, Joe Burrow, Chase, T. Higgins, maybe not T. Higgins right away, but Burrow and Chase definitely. I mean, I've already got their moments, so they're 1 and 2. And then from there, kind of see how it plays out.
And I'm a Falcons fan, but I tell you, Marcus Mariota would not be getting no play time. He would not be getting any play time.
Don't worry, Desmond Ridder will be your starting quarterback.
Yeah, I don't know about that. I'm always against rookie quarterbacks starting in their first year. I firmly believe in the Aaron Rodgers sit behind Brett Favre for 2 or 3 years and then go dominate when you're ready kind of a thing. There's a certain speed to the game in the NFL. There's a certain processing ability that is something that is developed more so than something that you just have. Like somebody like Peyton Manning just has it, but the vast majority of other people, even the ones who are successful as rookies, like, for my Steelers, like Ben Roethlisberger, he was a game manager his rookie year. He wasn't much better than Mac Jones was this past year, right? So there's, no matter how good they come out of college, there's always a learning curve. You have to get adjusted. And if you have a veteran quarterback in front of you who has been there and done it, and whether they've been successful or not, they know the ropes of the game. And, I think rookie quarterbacks need to be allowed to be given that sort of a wide breadth to work their way into being able to start. I always feel bad for those guys who get drafted and they start day one. It's just, to me, it's too much to ask. However big the jump is from high school to college, the jump from college to NFL is technically should be bigger. Different game, especially with how in college football they've moved to a lot of the read option, RPO, one read and run type of stuff. So a lot of the guys who are coming out of college these days, like Matt Corral, for instance, or Sam Howell out of UNC, like those guys had to do zero reading of defenses and zero running through their progressions. They either chucked it deep or they dumped it off or they ran. Those are their options. You know what I mean? And those kind of guys just aren't ready to hit their fourth read with with some sort of zone blitz coming at them. They're just not. Look at T-Law's million interception game last year, right? Same kind of situation. Clemson's offense was the same, so. Yeah, that's fair. Hey, so we're officially at the halfway point of the very first podcast. So congrats, guys. We've made it. We're still talking. We haven't run out of things. But somebody joined into the chat. Get out of the who is that? Is that Erwin?
Esteban.
Is that Esteban?
You gotta go, Esteban. We love you though.
We love you, buddy, but you gotta get out of the chat.
Hello, can you hear me? I think he did it by accident.
Yeah, no, I hear you guys. My bad, I thought this was not
It's okay.
All good, man. All good. You just.
Go to youtube.com/AD Unlimited.
Yeah.
All day unlimited. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Hey, you're our first official guest. Congrats. Esteban, everybody give him a hand. All right, so yeah, we're at the halfway point now, so I'm happy that so far this is going smooth, but I think the next thing we got to talk about is the challenge. we got rewards coming in a day or two. The challenge has just been done, so tiered, which is something we've been asking for forever. So tell me what you guys think. What are you thinking about how this challenge went, about the levels, how difficult it was to complete, and whether you did them?
Yeah. You go ahead, go for it, today.
I mean, honestly, like when it first came out, I was against it. I thought looking at the price of it, if it's the same reward as the last time, plus the legendary chance, the 1% chance, I don't necessarily think the price that it ended at for tier 1 or however they've tiered it, the rare tier should not have cost whatever it was, $520.
I think it was $140 more than the last challenge.
So you're already behind on the last challenge. If you completed that last challenge, you weren't getting from starting at 0 anyway. You weren't getting your money's worth with the rare, and then you just made it more expensive. Now you add the legendary, the 1% chance at a legendary or whatever. I don't necessarily agree with the options that you had. I mean, I think you had 4 choices for rares. So you're really limited in who you could have.
Right. And Brian Edwards went straight to the moon in 5 minutes. So.
I think the price point with the common tier, that was fine. $50, $60.
Yeah.
You got to buy it all outright. That's fair. You're talking about your normal pack anyway. But I think they needed to do a little bit of work somehow with that rare tier. Whether it was making it 2 instead of 3, I think that would have been fair. But yeah, $520 for a rare that's at best going to be $230 is, for the most part, 99% of the people are going to get something less than $230 for their rare.
Sure.
I don't necessarily that, but
the one nice thing is I think it was either 2 or 3 of the 4 moments were still good, like solid players who, the pump like on Edwards was the extreme, right? The other ones, they happened, but they were, less apparent. They were less pronounced, right? But 100%, like the rare tier, 100%. If you had 1 or 2 of these already, it was a guarantee. You had to complete it. There was no reason not to. So it was really the kind of challenge that favored the people who already owned a moment or two, in this challenge.
I think it was one of those things because I did the commons. I already had the commons, and then I actually had I got in there like super early, so I bought one Devontae Parker. I always buy the moments that I need, and then I'll look if I need them, right, or not, and I didn't need them, right, so I just sold them within like 5 minutes for like $12 profit, so it was like 120 plus ROI. So it's like, because I bought Dante for 8 and sold him for 18, and I was like, oh shoot, and not Dante, it was Devontae, and so I didn't do the rare. I didn't have any of the moments I needed. I was actually waiting for a Matt Ryan rare because that's the one I needed. And when he was into the challenge, I kept going back and forth when he was at 140. And I was like, nah, he's going to come down. And then they unleashed this challenge, and he skyrocketed to like 220, 230. Right? So I was like, okay, I'm not buying him now. And then I didn't have any of the other rares, right? Oh, actually, that's a lie. I had a AJ Brown, right, that I packed. I packed the rare AJ Brown locker codes moments, and so I had that one. So I sold that one because I didn't want to complete this challenge. So I sold that one for like $278, and then overall I liked the challenge. I mean, the comments. Basically, I had all of them, but I didn't really know I had all of them. If I'm being honest, like I was just, I'm just like regular collector. So I just had the moments, and I was like, oh, okay, cool. I have the common ones. I do the commons. So the rares, I saw that if you had the whole locker code set or locked in set, I'm not too sure. I think it's locker codes, you got it for free. So it was,
launch codes?
Yeah, launch codes. Right? If you had like the launch code set, you got it for free.
I think you just created a new hashtag in the chat, the locker codes. We got lunch codes, we got locker codes, lockered in.
If you get the lunch codes,
yeah.
basically got a free pack. So I think this really awards like holders, like set holders, and I think that they're going to keep doing this, right? To where if you hold a set, you can basically get a pack for free, and this is how they're going to indirectly reward holders without saying, okay, cool.
Sure.
If you have the set, we're going to reward you, right? So I think it was a cool way to introduce the idea, right? Because you had two tiers. So like obviously, like the commons tier wasn't really like a set holder kind of thing, but the rare one was. So.
And I think I think you're right. I'm with you on that. It was the right way to at least start with the tiered challenges. Like I would prefer that there would have been more a range of options to complete them. Like I said, instead of having 4 or 5 rares, you could have 7 or 8, and then you choose 3 of them. Right? It gives you more options to complete. But I also understand from All Day's perspective in that if this is the first 2-tiered challenge you're going to do, you don't want to make it more complicated on yourself than you necessarily have to. So they reward holders by by making this challenge easier for them to complete. Now I'm a holder. I don't have as many moments as a lot of these guys do. I'm just over 100, but I figured I would have maybe 1 in the challenge, but I didn't have any. So I completed the common from 0, and thankfully from the Friday evening sell test that we had, I had $20-25 of Dapper still in my account unused, and so I started one there, and then I think I got a Devontae and a lock for $34 off of that. So it was worth it for me to do for that reason. But like Uday said, which kind of challenges that I own, or which kind of moments, rares and stuff that I do own, like. I think they're going to look for ways to get more of these low-end rare moments in these challenges because, those are the moments that need the most help. Those Mike Hugheses, the Sorensens, the Cole Holcombs, the Quez Watkins, like those guys, they need the bump more than anything. The AJ Browns and the DK Metcalfs who are still strong despite being down. Those guys are doing okay. So. I think it's now more worth it for us to hold those moments thinking that they may be in a challenge at some point. Buy them while they're cheap. So, maybe we do pick one up just off a whim. It's like, oh, okay, there's a Mike Hughes or whatever, super cheap. It's a good cereal. I'll pick it up. Maybe it'll be in a challenge. We can speculate on all of that, and we do. But yeah, we definitely speculate on a lot of stuff. But I agree that it's a good first step, right? This is a good way to start a tiered challenge. Keep it simpler for them. Make sure they can keep track of everything. There were no obvious bottlenecks in this that really kind of, skewed it towards profit takers or information sellers or anything like that. And I do think this challenge was a pivot from what they initially intended to.
I tried to tell everybody.
Well,
this is not what they had in mind. I'm telling you.
No, but they, that they thought that the leakers were an issue, right? Like however many people were out there that went and stacked the moments that they, had heard were going to be in challenge. They made large quantities of money off of that, and good on them for making it happen. But at the same time, that can't happen. That blows the integrity of everything they're trying to do. So with all of the heat that was around some of the accounts that were doing this, and then with the Preston Smith pop, I think they had total eyes on a defensive challenge that just couldn't come to fruition because there were people out there poised to profit on it, and it was the right move.
I feel like unless they know there's a leak somewhere, go through with the challenge because, like, you can't fault somebody for speculating and being right.
Right.
Like, if I said, like, hey, this moment's going to be the next challenge bottleneck, right? And then we go by the moment, right? And they're like, oh no, they're buying all these moments. We're not going to do that challenge anymore. It's like, no, like that's the fun of it because I might be wrong, and I probably will be wrong. I'm wrong a lot of the time.
I'm holding some stuff I was wrong about.
Right? Then I need to be rewarded, and like it's one of those. It's one of those situations where like you just truly don't know, and it sucks, right? It does suck. Where somebody might have just got lucky and hit every single moment, but that's
real lucky. That's iRacer 77 lucky.
I have like 5 different kind of moments that could be bottlenecks. So if you look at my account, it's like, don't worry, guys. I'm gonna be wrong 40 of these times, but if one hits, I'm gonna be cashing out. Well, I don't know. It's
one thing going forward. So this one, was it locked in or launch codes, whichever one it was.
Codes.
We could probably think like
Lockered codes.
Yeah, lockered codes. The next one might be, for common, could be like he called game, or
Yeah.
Could be locked in, or in the trenches, or something like that. Like, since they just use launch codes, this next one that's going to involve rares could be something completely different. Probably will be something completely different.
Right.
So then you can kind of like, your speculation from there can get a little tighter, can get a little better at the speculating.
Sure.
100%.
If you're doing it right.
If you're doing it right, exactly.
Seems like I'm never doing it right.
So what do you think they'll do for the next challenge, fellas?
I think it'll be a burn. I mean, obviously it's going to be a burn. I think
They've been talking about it.
I shouldn't say obviously, but I mean, I'd be shocked if it wasn't.
You said
It'll be
obviously,
like,
everybody was like, you can tell. Inside information.
yeah. No, I mean, if they do like what Strike just did, I think that would be a good one. 10 moments, 10 commons, basically you get a rare. However, take it away from just one person.
Right.
Don't limit it to just that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people type of thing.
Exactly.
Let it be any common.
Right.
Let us clear out those Logan Cooks. Let us clear out those Kenny Moores. Nate will be happy. Kenny Moores right now.
What I think that they should do is I think that they should try to clear out some of the supply for the less in demand moments, right? Which I feel like that's what they're gonna do, right? I feel like don't start with like a Tom Brady, right? Don't be like, okay, cool, burn moment or a burn challenge for Tom Brady, right? And that's only because like Tom Brady's price is fine, right? He's not hurt, right? If you own a Tom Brady, congratulations, kind of thing. But like if you have like a $4 moment, like and like 1,000 of those get burned, that turns into a $5 moment kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I think that they should start with lower tier moments.
I mean, if you're gonna burn, the lower tier moments are lower tier because people just don't want to buy them, right? They're $3 and $4 moments for that reason. But as far as burning goes, though, I think there are opportunities within certain sets to really lower the overall mint counts. And, the one that I'm going for that I mentioned earlier is He Called Game. At the moment, it's a 6,000 mint set. But I went through the whole set, and currently there's not that many. I think there's 14 moments in that set. I'm sorry?
I think it's 14 because I've been looking at it too.
Yeah,
So I just wanted
14.
to see, like, what I already have.
Right. So, and only Gardner Johnson, Preston Smith, and one other one. Those are the only 3 that have well over 50% circulated. Preston Smith is at almost 80 to 85 right now. Gardner Johnson and the other one are, I believe, at like 65%. Like they're just shy of 4,000 total out. So there's still some room there too. So on the rest of them, like they could cut all but Smith down to 4,000 and make he called game a 4,000 mint set minus Preston Smith extremely easily.
Exactly.
And I think that'd be cool because the vast majority of those, they're not in packs. They're unavailable. They haven't had anything done with them. So I look at a set like that and going, okay, you're going to burn 100,000 moments. Where do you start? Okay, here's 2,000 to 3,000 moments per player, just waiting to be burned off. So that's where I'm looking at as far as where they're going to burn. Like, where do they have room to burn? Where are there unavailable moments out of circulation that don't seem to be, ready to be put into replay packs or reward packs? Like, where are these burn moments going to come from beside us?
And what do you think that they're going to do with the historical moments? Because they said that they wanted it to be a big part of all day. But we haven't seen any more challenges in it's like 2 months or a month and a half. I might be exaggerating. But we haven't seen any news on a part pack drop for historical. What do you think that they do with these moments?
At this point, I have no idea. They got to do something.
Yeah.
What? I don't know. I really don't think they can sit here.
They have to be something more than nostalgia.
Yeah.
They have to be. And then I think of the fantasy aspect. Like, and I know that's not something that all day is necessarily looking at doing, but there has to be a way to substitute these classic players for current players, because honestly, I think we're going to eventually run into that problem as the seasons progress too. At some point, we're going to lose players from Series 1. They're not going to be playing anymore. So, when they retire, do their moments tank? Like, what happens to the value of those moments? Are they then like the historical, which don't really have much of a use? Like, how do they reconcile that? Where do they go from there in that regard too? Because I think the two are kind of tied together.
I think that they need to make the historical kind of like the running packs in Top Shot. Those are very valuable. Well, like Season 1, I guess. Those are very valuable for some reason. I'm not too sure, right? I'm not in the Top Shot streets. I don't know that much about Top Shot. I watch the show every single morning about Top Shot, but I don't own any moments or anything like that.
Well, I'll fill you in. Series 1 on Top Shot, the vast majority of the max common was 4,000 mint. Super low. I mean, this was the beginning of the beginning of the beginning. Like, the people who were buying these packs and these moments, there couldn't have been more than 10K, 20K of these people. Because, even when I got into it, which I want to say it was January or February of that year, it really exploded. Like I said, when I got that Zion Seeing Stars. So whenever that first Seeing Stars Series 2 dropped, that's when I was in. So... And it was still kind of small at that point. It was still big. Like, there was 150K people trying to get those packs. But the Series 1s were so limited run. There's commons that have 1,200 mint counts. Like the metallic gold, which was their it's not their base rare, but it's their showcase rare. Like, MGLE is the set to, if you want the set, like, they're all great. Those ones, the vast majority of them are $2.99 or $1.99 mints. So like the mints were micro.
Do you think that because like we started with 10,000 mint?
Yeah.
Right. So and I'm asking why do we start with 10,000 mint when we had Top Shot to look at and
Well, I think they did. Because at that point, right when, Series 1 for All Day came out was right about when Top Shot was in full backlash for their 60K mints for Series 3. So I think All Day saw that and said, okay, we can't mint 40, 45, 50, 60,000. We better cut it down. Let's do 10. So, them doing, 15 to 25% of what Top Shot was doing in comparison seems like a significant cut. It wasn't enough, but
It was one of the. Well, like Top Shot, I also had like 600,000 users already in there,
right.
right? So, like, all day starting from, like, I think right now we have 80,000
Mm-hmm.
or something like that. So it's like we're already we're already cut down to
Right.
like 10-15%, and so like trying to be like, okay, cool, well, we already did this. Well, like try to be like, yeah, Top Shot did 60,000, it didn't really work, so we're gonna do 10,000. It's like, well, you can't do 10,000 because because you're already 15% of Top Shot, so you have to do less than 10,000 because obviously, like, that's just.
I think that's easy to say in hindsight, because you got to think there are some complicating factors as well, right? I think that All Day anticipated much more of a initial user base that was similar to, at least somewhat similar to what Top Shot had, right? Top Shot, I think right before it really started going bad, like they would have like 200K plus in their queues. Like they would drop 60,000 packs. I think there was one drop I did where they did three different 60K pack drops, and there was like a total of 250,000 people that had queued up to get these, and you could only get one. So they released 180,000 packs, and there were still people that didn't get them. I think that All Day anticipated at least some of that. They thought they were going to get 80, 90,000 people in their queues every single time, but one, Top Shot screwed up everything. And then two, that's when we started to see inflation ramp up. That's when we started to see the crypto market tank. I mean, shoot, Bitcoin, Ethereum's down almost 80% from its highs, right? So there's a lot of outside interference that really caused the hype to go away that wasn't necessarily under their control. So when they planned to do this, it was the right idea, but by the time it happened, it was the wrong idea. You know what I mean? The external situation changed before they had a chance or realized that they needed to adjust even further.
Exactly. All right. How do you feel about it, Uday?
Yeah, I mean, you guys pretty much knocked it out of the park, so there's not a whole lot to say, but I would agree. 10,000 is way too high. They probably should have maybe shot for like the Heat called game, 6,000-ish.
Yeah.
Probably would have been smart. But then again, today, they go and drop it on everybody's head, and we have ads on the NFL.com.
That's cool. I love that. I love that.
That's so dope.
But
We're at 8,000 without that. Give it a few weeks, month, at least preseason.
Yeah.
You can go from 80 to 100 real quick,
Exactly.
and in time, I will probably look back on this and be like, well, why were we all upset about that? But now, I mean, I think we all understand why 10,000 just doesn't work.
Right.
But I mean, I think they're doing the right steps.
Oh, yeah,
They should
they're
go
definitely
more than
making
100,000. I feel like 100,000 is probably 100,000 too low. 200,000 probably would be a better step.
Yeah.
At least at that point, you're talking 1,000 a moment.
Right.
Exactly.
Just on the top.
Well, I mean, I think that that you have to be. It has to be stated as well that 100,000 is just what they're going to burn. So the vast majority of this has already been released. So anything else that gets burned is going to be burned from the user base, right? So that I think it may have been hard to find for the company to find 200,000 moments to burn. At least the ones that weren't packed or were unavailable or that they don't have planned for rewards of some kind.
Now, we have officially reached the hour mark.
Ow!
Right?
Whoop, whoop.
We have to end it, right?
We do. But there is one more topic that I want to hit before we really kick it out of here.
I want to hit one more. I want to hit one more.
All right, I'm curious if we're on the same page here.
Gronk,
Yes, that's what I wanted to talk about.
Gronk come back or not?
I don't think we can rule it out.
I think he's gonna come back. I mean, he's gonna wait. He's gonna see. He'll wait till like week 6. He'll figure out, okay, Tampa Bay's got a chance. Atlanta's got a chance. Pittsburgh's got a chance. he's going to pick his team, where he wants to go play, who he wants to be his quarterback.
Yeah.
And he's going to come back. Just might not be where everybody thinks it's going to be.
I think he could come back, but I think the one thing in my mind that's playing against that is the fact that he waited so long to make this decision. You know, he didn't make it in the heat of the moment. He didn't like walk off the field after a big victory and said, I'm retired and going to Disneyland. You know, like he didn't do that. This has happened months after the season has ended, and it's actually close enough to training camp that, you know, I believe that he's truly put a lot of thought into it. So I'm not going to say he's 100% staying retired, but I would put it at 70-30 that he stays retired.
If I had to put money on it, I would put money that he would come back for like one more season, just so everybody knew it was his last season, right? Because like I hate when people, well, no, hate, don't, that's a strong word. I know, like when like people like go through a season and like I don't know it's your last season, you know? Like, it's like I want to really appreciate your last season, everything that you like Kobe did. Kobe told us this is going to be his last season, right? And he went through the season and everybody knew it was going to be his last game. His last game was incredible, right? And he dropped like 60-something. And then he was like, Mama out, right? Loved it. Awesome. I love that, right? And I like when I know when someone is retiring, right? So that's why I'm so happy that Tom Brady came back, but also I'm like, you gotta let me know if you're retiring this season or next season, or like, I want to like be like, yeah, I witnessed, because like I might even like try to make it out to a game, be like, yeah, I was there at his last season, kind of thing. But like
a little farewell tour.
Yeah, just like I'll even drive down, right? And but yeah, so
what's funny is that
he's come back.
he actually up until I believe his senior year in high school, he grew up in Pittsburgh. He was born and raised in Pittsburgh, and it was before I moved to Colorado. So when he was playing at Woodland Hills High School, he was big deal around the area. So you know, I have a different view of Gronk purely because like I've been aware of him since he's been in high school. You know what I mean?
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. So.
Was he like as like dominant?
No, I mean he was a guy with promise. Like he had all the athletic tools, but you know at that point, you know you're talking about what the early to mid 2000s, something like that, maybe late 2000s, somewhere around there. And that was way before any high schools really started to go at any sort of pass happy offense. The vast majority of them were still running veers and triple options and I formation stuff. So. You know, there really wasn't the heavy passing attack in high school that there is now. So, you know, he didn't necessarily dominate. He was well known for how good he was, but his opportunities weren't all that much. So he actually left to go to, I can't remember where he went to school, but he played his senior year somewhere else before, and he might have actually gone to Arizona to high school and then stayed and went to the University of Arizona for college. But yeah, they kicked town for his senior year to get him more opportunities, which clearly was the right move. All right, so what do you think, fellas? Should we wrap it up?
Well, there is one more thing.
Oh, one more thing. What you got? This is juicy.
That Ty doesn't know about.
Ooh. Oh, yeah. That's true.
Promotion.
Yes, we do have a promotion. That's right. How dare I forget? Go ahead.
It's up to you. You're the big boss.
Alrighty. So the news of the day is one of our AD Unlimited Ultimate Bosses, who is the group of 9 of us that basically oversee the group and build the server and are responsible for bringing people into our community. We lost one of our OG UBs. He's kind of tied up with job and family and everything else, and he didn't feel that he could contribute to the level that the role meant to him. So, we appreciate you, Esteban, for all you did to help us get to this point. We're sad to see you step back, but we understand, and you're still an OG with us. So, like the Supreme Court, we try to keep our UB membership at 9. So we had some people in mind for who we wanted to bring up to the level, and this guy has been somebody who has really just been gung-ho ADU since he stepped into our chat. He was responsible for compiling all the moment information that we used in our presentation to the all-day team. And he just has worked his butt off to do everything he can to help us out. So, he has earned his promotion to Ultimate Boss, and we are talking about the man himself, the man with 11 A's in his name, Mr. Badman. Welcome to the UB Club, brother. We are so happy to have you. You have absolutely knocked it out of the park with everything you've done with us, and we are thrilled to have you on the team, helping to grow and make All Day Unlimited the absolute best place to be a total NFL all-day degen. So, congrats. Your degenningness has paid off even further, brother. Thank you, and to the bad man. What's that?
He just had a baby.
He just had a baby. That's right. Was it overnight or was it this morning?
It was yesterday.
Yesterday. I can't keep my days together. So not only does he get himself a new child, he gets himself a new role within our community, and we couldn't be happier for him on both accounts. So congrats, brother. You've earned it.
Let's go. That's so awesome.
Heck yeah. So that's cool. We got to make a real, legit announcement for our first podcast here, and hopefully it's the first of many. To all you guys, tomorrow night, be ready. We've got AJ coming to visit us at ADU. We're gonna have a little hangout. We're going to shoot the poo with the top community overlord over at the NFL All Day Discord in the closed beta general. If you're listening here and you're not one of our crew, you want to go get involved in NFL All Day. If you want to get involved in ADU, what you do is you go over into the NFL All Day server, you go into the closed beta general, and you go interact with everybody and get to know the crew. And before long you'll be right here with us. So. What do you guys got to close this out?
Nothing. It was a great show.
Man.
I really loved it. I mean, at first we had a little bit of technical difficulties, but we ironed it out, and I just love chopping it up with the boys. So I don't know. I'm looking forward to the next week's.
I am too, man. This was good. This was great. So thank you guys for joining me. I can't wait till we start having guests and bring people in and really kind of.
So fun.
Oh man, this is just step one, and this couldn't have gone any better. So I thank you guys for putting in the time to get this going, and all you guys do for ADU and everything as well. So this is just step one of the ADU baby for life. Here we go. All right, so that's it for us. We'll talk to you. Oh, she is there, AJ. She stopped in to say hi. That's awesome. And yes, Nape, I did say shoot the poo. But thank you all again for joining us. We'll be back next Wednesday at 9 p.m. Eastern Time, talking about whatever the heck kind of good info that AJ and the all day crew bring us between now and then. So. Stay tuned and hit the like, hit the subscribe, hit the little notification so you know when we go live. And
we hit 51 subscribers.
Ooh, all right, we're cruising. We're cruising. All right. Thanks again, y'all. We'll see you next week on the ADU.